Number 3, baby. Number 3.
Number 3 of the day and number 6 for the last 2 days. How about that, Randu?
Man. The good news will be, I don't know, we won't see each other for like 3 months or something. I don't know.
It really does go. A lot of people don't realize this, I guess, but we rack and stack. When we rack and stack, it's putting a recording in the can, if you will. And sometimes we do go a hot minute without seeing each other, especially when yours truly gets sick. I was just apologizing offline to Gary for having to kind of drop off the last time that we were supposed to meet. It gets brutal.
Yeah, it is what it is, but you know what? It's all fine. Things happen, and we're here, and you're looking good. Well, okay, as good as you can
as good as I get, right?
Well, you look better. We both look better on the podcast version than we do on the vlogcast version. I'm just saying.
I look great on the Monday morning podcast.
Exactly.
The audio version.
The audio version, we're actually quite handsome.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I probably catfish a lot of ladies. They hear this this voice and they think, oh man, and then they see it's lacking hair. It's got a little bit more around the edges than they expected. Glasses, it's a mess. Gray hair.
Oh man, I'll tell you, good stuff. Well, hey, let's go get Gary because we're going to talk about just another industry fun stuff, man. Let's go.
And somebody who runs 10,000 magazines, puts on insane events, and is probably one of the best hosts that I have ever met. Yes. I mean, he puts on one heck of a show and meal, and just treats his people like $1 million. So let's get to Gary.
Oh, and he could deadlift both of us together.
He could.
Yeah. So there's that.
And maybe one of these days,
maybe we'll try. We'll give that a shot.
We'll call him a name and see what he does to us.
Yeah, that might do it.
All right.
All right, let's go do it. What's up, Gear?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Just as a goofy aside, you guys were talking about lifting things.
Yeah.
I've got I made a Steinheben stone to train on. It's basically a rectangular concrete block with a handle on top of it that you can load weight plates on. It starts at about 450 pounds and you can add plates to it. It's a traditional German Bavarian type of strength stuff. I keep thinking that I ought to bring it to one of my shows and have people try it because a lot of the plain communities people have a lot of, for lack of a better way of putting it, farmer strength and real world strength.
Yep. And
it'd probably be fun because there'd probably be a couple of them that could darn near throw it over their shoulder and walk away with it.
That would be interesting. You could offer, at shows, it's not unusual to have nail driving contests or screw driving contests. We could have that whatever stone you just called a contest.
I imagine my insurance company would have a stroke though if I told them about it.
They might. I was at a show once, a little contractor event, and I'm not even going to say what state just to protect the innocent, but they had a hatchet throwing contest.
Oh gosh, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? And I'm not talking lessons, the little blocked off rooms like they have where, even if it bounces all over, it hits the wall. I mean, I'm just talking out here, kids walking by, and I'm going, oh boy. This is, if I see a little kid catch a hatchet beside the head, this is not going to be a good day.
Well, hopefully Missy's not listening because if she picks up that idea, I'm going to have to tell her, no, we're not doing that at our show.
No hatchet? All right.
No hatchet throwing.
We could go jarts, though. How about jarts?
There you go. Well, they ended up nerfing those and putting like round points on them and stuff so that you couldn't. Takes all the fun out of things.
If you haven't got,
that shows how old we are.
That is, we are old because if you haven't had the thrill of surviving getting hit by a jart, and there's all the young guys that go, yes, JART, go Google it. I'm not doing your job for you. Chat GTP it or Google it. I mean, I'll do a lot, but I'm not doing everything for you. But those are the good old days, the old jarts, man. Toss those things way up in the air and if somebody walks close, look out. Well,
and not that we're off topic, but if you give half a dozen 14-year-old boys those, they're not always going to go flying toward the targets.
Oh, no. They're flying at each other.
It's going to turn into a game of dodgeball with darts.
Exactly. Which I would do at 4. I'd do it now.
Yeah,
Probably. So, I mean,
yeah, me too. I just wouldn't dodge quite as well.
no, that's true. Oh man. Well, welcome aboard. So, for anybody silly enough not to know who Gary Reichert is, go ahead and tell us who you are, just in case there's one weird, goofy person that still hasn't figured out who you are.
Well, I have a little company called Shield Wall Media. Acquired it about 6 years ago, actually 6 years ago, July 2nd. And we've got a couple of different magazines, a couple of shows. We're launching a digital consumer magazine called Build My Barndo. We're getting into data generation with our CSI annual and some other things. And not what we came here to talk about, but actually starting a completely new and unusual direction, and that we're actually launching a line of children's books. So
really, did I know that? Did I know that?
I don't think you did, actually.
I don't think I know that. I feel a little bad, but go ahead.
Have you seen the dog avatar that we've used in some of our promotional stuff?
Oh yeah, yep.
Well, he's based on my dog, and his name is Max.
Yep.
And one of the things that we tried to do is tried to figure out how we could be useful. One of the big challenges facing our little corner of the world is people not wanting to go into the construction trades. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of good organizations, like we work with Mike Rose Foundation doing to publicize scholarships. And then there's organizations that do scholarships for veterans in training and other special things. And there's people that do stuff in schools. Nobody does anything toward the little kids. And developmental psych stuff says that you learn 60% of what you're going to learn by the time you're 5 years old. So we're coming out with a line of children's books. We're getting the first one underway, and it's going to be Max Builds, my dog's name, and he builds different things. And we're going to try to do some things like use actual nomenclature so that people learn the parts of the first one is Max Builds a Metal Roof.
Okay.
And it'll go through the process. It'll like, first he has to tear off the roof. Then he has to inspect the roof to make sure it's structurally sound. And it'll be more worded appropriately for kids because, I mean, no kid wants to listen to me. But it'll go through and it'll actually teach some basics about that. But the thought process is that we've got a lot of builders, roofers, people reading our magazines that are, a lot of them are our age, so they're going to have kids and grandkids. And if the kids have a positive emotional attachment to dad or grandpa or whatever was reading me books about a metal roof, that maybe whenever they get a little bit older to thinking about it, they'll have a positive emotional attraction to the construction trades. And I mean, like, sales, we always talk about there's an intellectual and emotional side. The intellectual side is easy. I mean, there's not a whole lot of other places where somebody can go at 19 years old, go through a 2-year apprenticeship and be making 6 figures.
Right.
But if the emotional side is what makes people actually make a decision. So if we can create some positive emotional links to the construction trades, maybe there won't be the lack of people. And maybe the business owners that are having trouble finding a grandson or a son or whatever that wants to take over their business, if there's a little bit more of a positive emotional attachment, it might help solve a couple of those problems.
Wow, that is very cool. That is, I'm glad I heard that today. I think that's a brilliant move, Gary. I think it's going to be very good. When's it going to be launched? When's the first book going to be available?
That is an excellent question. We've got the first one storyboarded, and I've got it off to the author and the artist, and it depends how fast I get stuff back.
Okay.
But all the agreements are in place. I did all the, but there's just an inordinate amount of business BS that's got nothing to do with actually getting a product out. I mean, everything from copyrights to making sure that we're tax compliant for sales taxes, and just all kinds of just goofy stuff. But we should have hopefully the first 2 by the end of the summer. The first one is Max Builds a Metal Roof, and the second one is Max Builds a Pole Barn.
Really? So how often what's the goal? 2 or 3 a year or something?
Well, it's interesting thing is children's books aren't that hard to do. The hard part's the graphics. So we can get that out pretty quick. And A lot of it is going to depend on the kind of acceptance that we get with it, whether it validates putting that level of resources to it.
Right.
If it's something, and we've actually had a number of companies. I mean, there's two people specifically that are in manufacturing companies that I discussed the idea with, and they're wanting to support it financially, shall we say. So it's something where once we get a direction and a proof of concept, we ought to be able to move ahead with it pretty quick. But until I find out that it's not Gary had another brain fart, we,
which could be a book series on its own.
yeah, do you remember the old Encyclopedia Britannicas that had
Yeah.
like 73 issues? Yeah, that's kind of where we are.
Well, good. So that'll be available eventually on your website and
Yep.
Google too, or I mean not
And
Google, but
yeah,
Amazon and that.
well, I don't know that we're going to do Amazon, because I'm not sure about the quality issues on Amazon. But it's going to be a 40 page with covers, hardcover book, 8x10. We've got maxthedogbuilds.com, and it'll be available on our websites. We're going to have ads for it in the magazines. We're going to have it on social media.
Love it.
So, I mean,
Okay, so go ahead.
no, that's so. I mean, we'll get it out any way that we can.
Yeah.
Also, I'm also curious about what other unintended directions it takes, because I could see things like if I was a metal roofer and I was doing a proposal for somebody for a $30,000 roof and they've got a 3-year-old, giving them a children's book about putting a metal roof on a house with a sticker with my contact name and information on it would not be an entirely stupid thing to do.
It would not
So there's a lot of unintended directions that are possible. So we have to kind of start down the path and see where it goes.
So is there going to be a mascot that Missy or Karen will wear around at shows and stuff?
Probably only on weekends.
Well, reason I ask is if there's a mascot. Whew,
that one took you completely
we went a direction there. Well, but the reason I was asking is if there's going to be a mascot, I want to be the first one to interview him on air live. I want to interview Max. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, well, my dog talks to me at work, so I mean, we might be able to get him in one of these.
We could.
Mostly whenever he doesn't want to get what he wants, but whatever.
Yeah. So we've known each other well and for a long time. Why did I think is your dog's Max, but I thought your son's
Max
name
too. Yeah,
your son. Okay.
Well, yeah, it is, and basically, the dog is a rescue. I got him when he was 9 months old. He's a Malamute. Right now, he weighs about 170 pounds, and somebody got a Malamute as a puppy that had young kids and was upset whenever a 70-pound puppy was knocking over their freaking kids. So, I mean, what are you, stupid? You know, I mean,
apparently.
And he got put up for adoption, and he was already named when I got him. And my kid was training with me and whatnot at the time. And whenever I got him and I'd yell, "Hey, Max," they'd both look. I'm kind of a knothead, so I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And my son lobbied for me to change the dog's name, and the more that he lobbied, the more upset he got, the more I decided that it was an excellent idea to keep it.
I think so. The only thing you could have been maybe even cooler was said, "Well, here, we'll fix that. We're going to change your name, son."
Yeah, there you go. And change it to like Rover or something.
Rover.
Yeah.
Well, so before we move on, because I have to do this because it's important to me, how's your son doing? For everybody don't know, he's in the military.
Yep, and he's deployed, and everything is good. He is he's an E6 in an infantry unit, and he's running security on convoys. But so far there has been, we'll say, nothing eventful.
Good.
Which is a wonderful thing.
That is a wonderful thing. Well, thoughts, prayers, and pride, man, and pass that on to him.
Will do. He's a good kid.
Yes, love it. Awesome. So apparently, rumor has it, and social media says, which if social media says that it's true, that there's a show coming up in the beautiful little town of Mannheim, PA, which
it's
at Spooky Nook, which I'm just going to tell you one thing, Gary. You know I'll be there. I'm going to be there to support you,
Sure.
and we're going to do all kinds of stuff. If I have one ghost experience, I'm out. I'm just telling you. Just
Really?
telling you. Yes, I don't do ghosts. Just
So
just
then
throwing
what
that
we
out there.
should, so you're saying that I shouldn't dress Missy and Karen up as ghost mascots since it's a spooky nook?
You know that I might live with just because it'd be funny and I could talk to him and interview him, and that'd be fun.
Okay. I'll
But
see what, I'll see what I can do.
I I I slept on the Queen Mary once out in the harbor in Long Beach,
Okay.
which is well known to be haunted.
Yep. Yep.
Hated every second, couldn't sleep, and let every light on in the room. Um, I don't like that stuff at
So
all.
did
So
anything interesting happen or did you just leave the lights on?
I left the lights on because I was afraid and I didn't like it, and I felt weird walking down one of the hallways.
Okay.
Probably the people at the front desk put it into my head when they said, "Well, welcome, first time here." Yes, so well, you should have a fun time. The spirits are overly active tonight, which was all just marketing BS, I'm sure.
Sure.
But it still got in my head as I'm walking down this hallway that strangely resembled that hallway in that movie, The Shining.
Okay.
And I'm just like, okay, I mean, I'm like, I hated everything about it. I didn't want to go to the restaurant and bar to eat because that meant I had to go back to my room, which I didn't want to do. But anyway, barring all that, Spooky Nook coming up in June. It's coming up soon now.
Yeah. About 6 weeks.
So we know you do all these magazines. You're like and great shows. Come play with us, Reed. Oh my! If I see that, Wes, I'm out of there. Just so you know.
Okay.
If that comes up on my cell phone, it's over. Which I shouldn't have said because Wes will text that to me now. I know he will. But anyway, what's happening in Mannheim?
Well, it's the second actually, second annual Post Frame Builder Show, and it is just actually off the hook. Right now, it's about 210% of what it was last year,
Wow.
which is just crazy. And getting people that are just, I mean, phone is ringing off the hook. I'm not technically listed on any of the show stuff anymore, and I've got people calling me that said, we talked a couple of years ago, and I've got your phone number and asking about the show.
Wow.
So it's
That's awesome.
cautiously optimistic. Until it
Yeah.
happens, it didn't happen.
Right.
But I think it's gonna be good.
So let's talk
And
venue. Oh, go ahead.
for anything too, for anybody listening, anybody that's an exhibitor has an unlimited number of free guest passes to give out. So if you want to come, entry is $50, so it's not prohibitively expensive, and anything that we generate does go to charity. But if you'd like to save $50, go to postframebuildershow.com or the page on Frame Building News, and you can see who's exhibiting, and you can get on their list of freebies.
Yep. It's almost tough to beat that.
Yeah, well, we're not going to actually pay you to come to the show, but you can at least get in for free.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, when you get really good, maybe you can get people to maybe you'll have to pay people. It'd be such an event, you know.
Well,
But
then we'd have to raise booth prices.
that's just okay. Let's not do that. But so tell me, for anybody again silly enough not to know, what is unique about the Post Frame Builder Show versus your other shows, and what's unique about your shows in general compared to other shows in the industry?
Well, our shows, we'll start with our shows in general. The shows in general are different because we go for a smaller, more targeted audience. And the experience, what we're looking for is really quality time between the exhibitors and the thing that I'm sure everybody's heard me say that's ever heard me 1,000 times is we go for the people that sign the front of a check, not the back of a check for attendees. At typical shows usually have to serve two masters. Like, for example, if you look at the Frame Building Expo and MetalCon, they're both tied to associations, and associations have to serve their members. So they have to look for the people that are actually the men and women in the field swinging the hammers, driving the screws, doing the actual work, because that's part of the goal for their association is to service the people in those industries. So you have to look at the people that are C-suite level and decision makers, and you have to look at the crew foreman, and you have to look at the individuals that are holding a hammer or screw gun, whatever. We don't do that. we focus exclusively on the exhibitors and information that C-suite level and decision makers and purchasing decisions make. Because if you are looking for a new supplier for metal coil and you're a roll former, and you're talking to somebody at one of the vendors, if they don't have time to talk to you because they're talking to somebody that builds doghouses, you're out of luck. So it's something that's just a little bit more focused of an experience for the exhibitor and for the people that can actually make buying decisions. And then the post frame builder show, the way that we do our shows is we target our shows to try to make a more specific and narrow niche. And the construction roll forming show is obviously about roll forming. The post frame builder show is about all things post frame.
Perfect.
So it's a post frame related buying show.
Love it. Love it. And as Wes was talking off air, because he was with me a couple of years ago in Cincinnati at the Construction Roll Forming Show, and you put on a great show, a great host, great spread. Everything's done well. I think we have an educational or two coming up. You're big on that. We got a lot of other things happening there that's kind of fun because it's more than just, I say more than, networking, rubbing shoulders with people in the industry, making new friends in the industry, making deals, finding out opportunities is a big part of it. But there's some really good educational opportunities too.
Sure. We actually are doing a panel discussion too on barn doors.
Okay.
Kind of scraping the bottom of the bucket on some of that, but
I've heard.
Yeah, well, that's because Randy's hosting it. So
okay. So up until this point, it was a good show.
It was good. Yeah, that was that, and then right down the tubes.
Yeah, right down the tubes. But I'll do my best. I'll do my best to be quiet. We got a lot of good experts on there.
You just lost all your credibility.
That's true because
you're not going to do your best to be quiet. That is just not you,
Gary. Okay, I was going to say I will try for a minute, but that's not even true, too. You know that. A side note, we'll go back to that, but it was funny is as you know, I'm on the board of directors at the National Frame Builders Association, and I'm also on the Buckeye Frame Builders Association board. And, different times in the past, I've done talks there like you lobbied to do at your shows, which I appreciate. And long story short is 1 year, 2-3 years ago, said, did you want to make a talk again? And I said, oh, I can if you want me to. I said, or not. I go, oh, okay, that's fine too. If I saw it, he said, well, no, what we're thinking is, would you like to MC? And I'm hold on. I said, she goes, oh God, I made a bad choice, I can tell. I said, does MC mean I get to have the mic all day versus just an hour talk? She says, bad decision. I said, too late now. Yep. Too late now. It's too late. I never saw a mic I don't like, Gary. You know that. Yep. But anyway, no, it'll be a good time. But tell us more about what that panel is going to be, because it's going to be a good time. We got a good panel set up. And
it's about barn dominiums, and we've got people from different facets of the industry. And for anybody that's involved with post frame or cold form metal, barn doors are a big part of it right now.
Yep.
And knowing how to market it, knowing how to build it, knowing how to do basically everything related to it to make it a viable part of your business is kind of what the panel's about. So
how to finance it. I think if I remember right, we got a lady on there that's going to talk about the much easier to get them financed now than it used to be. A lot of work that's been done. And I know Stephanie, I think, is going to be there. And they've done some great work with getting that to the point, because that was one of the last drawbacks to barn doors was banks just didn't understand them. You're going to put a pole barn up, and I mean, some of them literally you're going to put a machine shed up, and then you're going to live in it. No, I don't think we're financing.
Well, and a lot of it, and we're getting off track a little bit.
Yeah,
figure.
But we do.
But a lot of it was the banks being unable to find comparable appraisals, and a lot of that comes down to how the builder and the potential homeowner presents it to the bank. If you present it as a custom home, it's a lot easier to find comparable appraisals than it is if you present it as a barn dominium. Because if you say barn dominium, they go, barn? What? Huh? But if you say we're doing a custom home with an open floor span and a floor plan and a clear span from wall to wall, so that we can put things interiorly where we want it, it's an entire different conversation.
Right. Interesting that, and we'll get back on subject, but uh,
What are the odds?
not zero, but um, you take it to metal and the metal in the metal roofing industry, and we all know at the entry level cost wise is the ag panel, the 9 inch 3/4 inch ag panel, right? But they become much more popular with homeowners when people started calling them things like, oh, I don't know, pro rib or classic
Yep.
rib or anything, because nobody wants ag panel
Sure.
on the roof of their house, even though it's the same panel.
Yep.
But it's packaging, it's optics, right?
Yep.
So love it.
A lot
Love
of it is.
So what else we got for education? Because we got that one day, and that's the nice thing with that. If I'm correct, Gary, is when we have this panel discussion, there's nothing else going on then, so everybody
Yep,
can be
that's
there.
the only thing going on, and that's kind of the focus. But basically, pretty much anything that you need to know for putting up a barn door or post frame. So there'll be things on roll forming and metal forming and panels. There'll be things on, gosh, just pick something.
Mhm. Always very good. Always a good set of educationals, and you. We're 2 days this year, right? 2 full days, really. I mean,
Yep, 2 full days.
ish, right? 10,
Yeah,
10
well,
to 10 to 5,
10 to 5
Wednesday,
both days.
Thursday,
Yep.
25th and 26th of June, right?
Yes. Yep. 25th, 26th.
So tell us about Mannheim and the Spooky Nook and the warehouse, the pallet. What is it? Warehouse, right? It's the warehouse where we're the host
Well,
hotel, right?
it's actually a athletic club.
Athletic club. Okay.
And the part that we have, and it's kind of different, but the part that we have is actually, I think, 16 basketball courts.
Okay.
And well, I know they're basketball courts. I just don't remember if it's 16 or 18 or 27 or whatever it is. But I was concerned about rolling in machinery and ripping up the floor, but apparently they're not. So
Well,
we're gonna have machinery there. We're gonna put down the aisles, the carpet, the curtains behind the booths and everything, and turn it into a show.
so the feel from 10 foot tall down will be the same as any typical show. It's just not going to be in a typical convention hall, hotel banquet room type thing. It's going to be
Right.
probably a metal framed open
Well, it's a huge facility. I mean,
big
there's
facility.
a
Yeah.
complete. We aren't taking up all of the athletic court space
Okay.
because there's other ones other places. There's a full like weightlifting and fitness gym. There's indoor track. There's all kinds of things. They had gosh, what was it? It was like a 16 mat wrestling tournament
Hmm.
there.
So we could
It was
have
huge.
anybody that can out deadlift Gary Reichert gets
Yeah, let's go with that.
gets 20% off their booth space next year, or something like that. What do you
Or
think?
free entry to the show or something.
Yeah, free entry that's already free. I like it. Good stuff. Oh man. And so what have we missed? You have food, something to
Yeah,
eat?
we're gonna have a banquet. It's actually a Pennsylvania Dutch banquet. There's gonna be a bunch of Pennsylvania Dutch food because it's a hard
Yep.
Pennsylvania Dutch country. And
Yep.
anybody that has not ever had shoe fly pie, we're having shoe fly pie as one of the dessert options.
I love it. I love it. Shoe fly pie is good. I've spent my life service and serving the plane community. Shoe
Mhm.
fly pie is shoe fly pie. Easy for me to say.
Yep.
Is good. So that's great. So in Mannheim, it's just a unique area. If anybody hasn't been there, uh, huge Amish community, right? And
Yep.
area. It's very go back in time world. There'll probably be more
Sure.
Amish buggies than cars.
I would
And
imagine it'll be close.
the problem is I need to get in for a sales meeting on Monday,
Okay.
but I have to leave on Thursday because the only Uber available is a buggy. So it's going to take a little
Yeah,
while from BWI, but
I'm not betting on a whole lot of Ubers right there.
yeah, it's going to be good. So what else we want to talk about with that? I mean, it's going to be a great show. It always is. Everything you do is good, and it's always fun. I enjoy being involved, whatever little part I can be, and you just do it right, and I appreciate what you do, man.
Well, thank you. The other thing that I would like to bring up
Yeah.
is the rebranding of Garage Shed Carport Builder magazine, because
Let's do
Garage
it.
Shed Carport Builder is going away, and it's being replaced by Plane Builder.
Okay.
Did a little bit of research, and there were no construction specific publications focused on the Plain communities.
Right.
And as I'm sure you know, the Plain communities are a rather large and growing part of our corner of the construction world.
Right.
And it's a group that hasn't received the kind of attention that they deserve. So we're working on fixing that. We're also rebranding the show. The Reichert Carport Builder Show is going to be the Rural Builder Show, but it's going to be specifically Plain communities friendly. So that means there will be a couple of changes. Like, for example, we aren't going to have music with our social, and that one is actually going to be alcohol free.
Okay.
So it's something where the beliefs and opinions of that particular group are being taken seriously in the way that the show's designed.
Okay.
And to the best of my knowledge, nobody else has ever done that. And just an interesting data point that I discovered whenever I started doing research for this, the population of Amish in New York quadrupled between 2000 and 2020. So that group is progressively becoming a larger part of our type of construction.
Right.
And it's just kind of a ignore them at your own peril kind of thing.
Right. Right. Well, that's why, and that's going to be still in the first one, I guess, that we'll call that show is going to be still in Gatlinburg. Correct?
Yep, it's in Gatlinburg. It's the same location.
Okay. Yep.
It's the same location, and anybody that signed up whenever we thought it was going to be the Reichert Carport Builder Show, if they decide that they would not like to be part of the new show, they're welcome to get a full refund. And anybody that actually does want to do a show that caters to the Plain communities, we'd love to have you.
Okay. And that's going to be open for exhibitors for either to the rural builder people, if you will, and the shed carport people.
It's open to anybody.
Or anybody.
I mean, it's open to anybody. We're with very few exceptions, I'm never going to say that there's anybody that's not welcome at our shows.
Right, right, right.
So,
perfect.
But and if anybody, and I realize this is a podcast, so there's probably not that many Plain communities people watching it.
But they do get it on because they can dial in and get it on phone.
Okay. So. Well, if you dial in, one of the things that we're doing in the new magazine is we're doing editorial on 2 columns in each issue. One is called The Voice of Experience, and one is called The Voice of Enthusiasm. And what we're looking for is established business people in the Plain communities to give advice and information to people just starting out as the voice of experience. So if you are one of those and you would like to help other people get started, please contact me and share. I'm sure you can find me somewhere. My cell phone is actually in our magazine, so if you want to call me, you can actually get my cell phone. The Voice of Enthusiasm is there are a lot of young men in that community that start small construction businesses. And we want to hear your story too, so that we get the people that have been doing it for a while and the people that are just decided to start an adventure.
Love it. That's good. That's going to be an interesting read every month or every couple months, whenever it comes out.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be quarterly.
Quarterly. Yeah, perfect.
It's quarterly, and then once it gets established a little bit and we get some benchmarks for it, then we'll probably move it to bi-monthly.
Sure. And that's in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And do you have the dates in front of you or no?
I think it's January 26th, 27th. No, we moved it back though.
Oh,
we moved it back 2 weeks because IRE released their show dates late. And we bumped it back 2 weeks because a lot of especially the roll forming and metal forming people, wanted to be able to be at their International Roofing Expo.
Oh, sure. Yep.
So it's actually 2 weeks after that. So whatever that makes it, like February 11th and 12th or something. Whatever that Wednesday and Thursday is.
Okay. Well, I think we should, if we could change it again, if we have to. My birthday's the 14th, and I'll be at your show. I wouldn't mind like a little celebration if it's okay.
Well, we can just stay 2 days extra.
There's that too. All right. Fair enough. You, me, Karen, Dan, Kevin.
Yep. All kinds
Missy.
of things.
We'll all hang in town for like 3 days.
There you go.
And now Gatlinburg will never invite us back after that. Yeah, but
that's true.
All right, Gary, what else? Otherwise, I'll let you out of here. I appreciate you coming on and talking, as always, about all the great stuff you got going. Anything else, or did we cover it all for today?
No, I think we pretty well covered it.
All right. Anything else would be just more weightlifting stuff, or talking about Max the dog, or I like
Yeah,
Max the dog.
he looks like a stuffed animal, so he makes a great cartoon character for
Good.
kids.
Bring it. I think you should bring him to Manheim. They probably love him there.
He's actually getting old and cranky though, because he's about 10 years old now.
Old and cranky, just like his dad.
And
Did I say
yep,
that?
I've said that more than once.
Awesome. All right, my friend. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, man.
Good
All right,
talking
bud.
with you.
Yeah, you bet. As always. Cheers. All right, there you go. Post Frame Builder Show and everything else they got going at Shield Wall Media. So check them out. And if you come to the show, as Gary alluded to, somehow somebody's crazy enough to let me host this this Barnuminium panel. But I can tell you the important part is the members on this panel are really good. I know them, and they're going to bring some really, really good stuff. And all the other educationals are good. I've seen the list and big turnout. That's it. Let's go do it. Go there. Love what you do what you love, and live it, love it, own it. And let's go make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers.